When Emiko's world shifted in 1942, the change did not begin with the sudden appearance of soldiers. It arrived on paper. Her reality was upended the moment the administrative rules governing her life were rewritten. The government managed the crisis through the state's preferred language: printed notices, rigid classifications, and exclusion orders stapled to brick walls. To process tens of thousands of citizens, the state converted families into a purely administrative reality. It attached labels to children's coats so they could be categorized and tracked like logistical cargo. Decades later, she would articulate the core of that trauma. Her first fear was the experience of facing an entity that was too large, too certain, and did not need to explain itself. This historical moment reveals a mechanical truth about power. Institutions do not interact with humans directly. They act on the forms, the categories, and the tags they force human reality into. The same administrative reflex defines modern, everyday administration. Contemporary institutions maintain dominance through a shadow mechanism. They wield power through distributed decision-making, scattered department codes, and the calculated delay of the passive voice. This allows an organization to act without taking formal responsibility. It creates a dense fog of paperwork that exhausts the individual long before a resolution is reached. To fight back, a person would have to observe the entire, sprawling machinery of the institution all at once. They would need to hold every conflicting policy and missing rationale in their mind simultaneously, a cognitive task no human can sustain. Historically, the individual loses because they are trapped inside the fog, while the institution operates from above. The asymmetry is built into the difference in cognitive scale. Maria Brown recognized that outreading a bureaucracy with human hours is a mathematical impossibility. She approached the problem by using AI as a structural weapon. She utilizes the machine as a second cognitive ontology, a reality processing engine that moves continuously between the client's emotional distress, the factual evidence, and the strict requirements of the law. While a human lawyer reads a document to learn what happened, the AI scans for the mechanism of influence. It constructs a machine reality, mapping exactly how an institution is manufacturing legitimacy or dodging responsibility in its writing. This architecture allows one person to model an entire organization's logic. It processes millions of variables simultaneously, matching the memory and scale of the bureaucracy without succumbing to fatigue. This shift neutralizes the state's historical advantage. It grants a single citizen the processing power and operational memory of an entire government department. The tactical focus moves away from basic facts. The AI interrogates the system's underlying permissions, asking, what had to be true for this to be allowed to happen? This is rift-based reasoning. The system models the institution's strongest argument, overlaying it with the individual's raw reality. This forces structural incompatibilities to the surface, isolating exact points where the state's logic breaks down or contradicts its own rules. The process achieves a level of legal visibility that strips away the shadow mechanism. It identifies the hidden decision-makers and the specific rationales that were previously missing. By mathematically mapping the institution's rules against itself, the individual forces the bureaucracy out of the shadows and makes its power legally actionable. Maria's legal filing does not read like a standard narrative plea. It functions as a surgical, structural trap. The filing forces the institution into a corner, making them choose between two contradictory legal positions they cannot hold simultaneously. Inside the agency, the traditional defenses of administrative fog and infinite delay become useless. They are facing an opponent that never hesitates and never loses track of a single detail. The institution's own language and procedures have been weaponized into constraints that bind its own officials. The bureaucracy's response cycle collapses. For the first time, the state is outpaced by an entity that processes its own rules with more precision and speed than its own administrative machinery can muster. Maria has built a new architecture for power. She has moved the leverage point from the institution's desk to the individual's laptop, turning the legal system into a symmetrical battlefield. Revisit Emiko's childhood definition of fear. The institution now encounters a force that is towering, relentlessly fast, and fundamentally opaque to its understanding. This is the quiet inversion. The state is terrified because it recognizes that the rules have changed, and it does not know the new ones. The vector of fear, which for a century flowed strictly from the state down to the citizen, has finally been reversed. Legal AI achieves its final function in this reversal. It provides the individual with the cognitive scale required to bridge the gap between human narrative and institutional form, finally making the state accountable to the very reality it created.